everyone, Novels Wonderland here. Thank you all for the love and support you've shown me and the channel.
The Boundless Journey, starting from Bofuri, Chapter 245 to 252, Chapter 245 Treatment and Spoilers 1413 words. Although Takaru doesn't usually take out his shield, he has activated the weapon equipment slot and armor equipment slot. He only needs to equip the Twilight Shadow and Twilight Armor in the equipment slots, then take out Twilight Moon to trigger this special effect. Overall, this equipment enhancement has significantly increased Takaru's defense again. It gives Takaru a feeling that even against powerful enemies, he might not win, but he also might not necessarily lose. Of course, Takaru isn't overly arrogant. It's important to remember that there are countless worlds in the reincarnation space. Not to mention the top-tier worlds, even some worlds with lower combat power might possess special abilities. Some abilities based on rules or sealing ability. If Takaru really relied on his strong defense, and acted recklessly, capsizing in a ditch was a possibility. Slightly sensing the state of Amaterasu, Takaru guessed that once the equipment damage count reached 11 or 12, it probably couldn't be damaged further. Takaru, what did you mean earlier by Akatsuki? And what was the real purpose of Itachi and the others coming here? Compared to Kurenai's concern, Asuma directly questioned Takaru. Compared to that, let's wait a bit first. I'll treat Kakashi first. Although I might not be able to fully cure him, I should be able to alleviate his suffering. Looking at Kakashi, who was frowning even in his sleep, Takaru spoke calmly. Takaru, you can treat Kakashi. Really, thank you so much. Hearing Takaru's words, Guy said gratefully. Compared to the others, Guy considered Kakashi his closest friend. Seeing Kakashi in such distress naturally worried Guy greatly. Now, hearing Takaru say he could help Kakashi, Guy was extremely grateful. Because Takaru had once cured Lee, who had been declared a cripple, in just a week, Guy naturally had no doubt now upon hearing Takaru could treat Kakashi. Hearing Guy's words, Takaru just gave him a calm nod, then closed his eyes. After a moment of concentration, Takaru used his purification ability. Deep blue light blossomed from Takaru's hands. Feeling this light, the three present felt a sense of peace and calm. Asuma and Kurenai looked at Takaru with even more astonishment. Takaru, however, ignored their shocked expressions and directly enveloped Kakashi with the purification ability. Under the effect of Takaru's purification power, in less than a minute, everyone clearly saw Kakashi's expression become relaxed. After 3 minutes, Takaru stopped the purification power, and Kakashi slowly woke up. Looking at the familiar ceiling, and Guy and the others, Kakashi's mind was a bit hazy. It took him a while to recall everything. Is everyone all right? How long have I been sleeping? Although he still felt mentally fatigued, the particularly painful feeling was gone, so Kakashi asked everyone. Don't worry, Takaru forced them back, and Takaru also cured you. It's only been about half an hour. Seeing Kakashi's nervous look, Asuma directly said. However, Asuma's gaze toward Takaru became more complicated. Powerful strength, special abilities, and the key was Takaru's youth, combined with his handsome appearance, he was definitely an extremely popular type. Seeing the special glint in Kurenai's eyes when she looked at Takaru, Asuma felt a bit sour inside. Takaru didn't pay attention to their rich internal monologues. After treating Kakashi, he closed his eyes, appearing to be adjusting and recovering from the expenditure. Takaru, thank you so much this time. After listening to Asuma's words, Kakashi also looked at Takaru with a complex expression. You're welcome. Speaking of which, you all are my seniors. Hearing his words, Takaru slowly opened his eyes, revealing a gentle smile. Hearing Takaru say this, the others showed somewhat awkward smiles. Only the straightforward Guy gave Takaru a thumbs up with a smile. By the way, what's this? Noticing the black flames burning on Takaru's body, Kakashi asked, puzzled. It's Amaterasu, one of the abilities of Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan. As for the other one, Tsukuyomi, I think you understand its power better than I do. Hearing Kakashi's question, Takaru said with a calm smile. Hearing Takaru mention Tsukuyomi, Kakashi felt a faint ache in his body and spirit, but he quickly regained his composure and asked Takaru if he was all right. Like the others, Takaru just shook his head at him. Right, Takaru, about the Akatsuki and Itachi's purpose, do you really know? Seeing that Takaru truly wasn't harmed, Kakashi looked at Takaru seriously and inquired. Hearing his question, everyone looked at Takaru attentively. Of course. Although not completely comprehensive, I know a part of it. Seeing their concerned gazes, Takaru nodded lightly. Hearing Takaru's words, they became even more focused. The so-called Akatsuki, its members all wear black cloaks with red clouds, a conical hat with wind chimes, and corresponding fingers wear rings marked with their code names: 0, blue, white, vermilion, boar, void, south, north, 3, jewel. They usually operate in pairs of 2 when carrying out missions. Hearing Takaru say this, they remembered that Itachi and Kisame indeed wore the vermilion and south rings. And their goal is to collect the 9-tailed beasts, create tailed beast weapons, then use the ultra-large-scale genjutsu, infinite Tsukuyomi, to plunge the world into a dream, achieving so-called permanent peace. Seeing their serious expressions, Takaru lightly laughed and revealed Akatsuki's ultimate goal. Hearing Takaru say Akatsuki's ultimate goal was to collect the 9-tailed beasts, create tailed beast weapons, and use the ultra-large-scale genjutsu called infinite Tsukuyomi, they were stunned. Although they didn't know what the so-called tailed beast weapons were, they were very clear about tailed beasts, and an ultra-large-scale genjutsu was clearly no ordinary technique. So their target this time is Naruto. Mentioning tailed beasts, the 4 reacted, realizing their target must be Naruto. Pretty much. Hearing their words, Takaru nodded with a light laugh. Hearing Takaru's answer, the other 3 didn't detect anything unusual, but Kakashi felt Takaru still had something left unsaid. Just as he was about to ask, Sasuke, who had come looking for Kakashi, interrupted. Sasuke, who had directly opened the door, looked at everyone in Kakashi's room, and Kakashi sitting on the bed, frowning. Looking at Sasuke, Kakashi greeted him with a light laugh. Why is Kakashi sitting on the bed? And all the Jonin are here, and you, Takaru, what are you all doing? What exactly happened? Seeing everyone gathered here, Sasuke instinctively sensed something was wrong. It's nothing. Seeing Sasuke's arrival, Kakashi thought of Sasuke's hatred for Itachi, and immediately lied without thinking. I heard that Itachi has returned. Is it true? However, at that moment, Yamashiro Aoba happened to appear, and asked everyone excitedly. Hearing Aoba's words, Sasuke turned his head blankly. It seemed he recalled some unpleasant memories, his expression darkening further. After speaking, Aoba realized the atmosphere wasn't quite right and froze. Seeing this, Kurenai couldn't help but complain. Where is that guy? After hearing Aoba, Sasuke's gaze became extremely dark as he directly questioned Kakashi. Unfortunately, as you can see, I was injured by him, and he has already left. I have no idea where he went. Although it was a bit helpless that Sasuke heard about Itachi's return, Kakashi could only lie about not knowing Itachi's whereabouts. What was his purpose? Hearing this, Sasuke asked through gritted teeth. I don't know. Looking at Sasuke's expression, Kakashi said without thinking. It's Naruto. They probably went to find Naruto. Looking at Sasuke, Takaru said with a light laugh. Hearing Takaru's words, Sasuke was stunned. Takaru, you. Hearing Takaru actually tell Sasuke Itachi's whereabouts, Kakashi and the others frowned at Takaru, not understanding his intention. Seeing the others' reactions, Sasuke was convinced and directly left the spot. Watching Sasuke leave, Kakashi called out loudly, but Sasuke had only one thought in mind now, and wouldn't listen to any words. Takaru, why did you tell Sasuke that? After seeing Sasuke leave, Kakashi frowned and looked at Takaru. Well, didn't you see how concerned he was? So I told him. Hearing Kakashi's words, Takaru spoke nonchalantly. Takaru, since you said you know Itachi's life experiences, you should be very clear about the grudge between Sasuke and Itachi, right? Seeing Takaru say this, Kakashi directly spoke up. Don't worry. Although he might suffer a bit, Sasuke won't be in danger. Seeing Kakashi's nervous expression, Takaru finally spoke softly. It was clear that Kakashi cared a lot about Sasuke, even more than he cared about Naruto, the son of his own teacher. Chapter 246. Chapter 246. The instantly defeated Sasuke. 1442 words. Hearing Takaru say this, Kakashi gave him a deep look, and could only sigh deeply. If he wanted to stop Sasuke, his current condition made it simply impossible. But don't you think that's strange? They've infiltrated the village, so finding Naruto inside the village should be easy, right? Itachi knows what Naruto looks like. At that moment, Asuma spoke up. It's not strange at all. They were just discovered by us first. Also, the point is, Naruto is currently with one of the legendary Sannin, Jiraiya. They wouldn't act rashly. Of course, most importantly, they aren't collecting the tailed beasts randomly. Their visit here is simply for reconnaissance. Regarding Asuma's confusion, Takaru directly explained. Hearing this, Kakashi gave Takaru another deep look. Logically, Jiraiya taking Naruto away was something only discussed with him. Clearly, Takaru possessed some advanced source of intelligence. Then, why are you so sure Sasuke definitely won't be in danger? Hearing Takaru's words, Kakashi regained his composure and asked seriously. Sasuke is the person Itachi cares about most. The vast majority of what he has done is to protect Sasuke. Just know that. Hearing his words, Takaru revealed another shocking piece of information to them. Impossible. Hearing Takaru's words, everyone was stunned. Kakashi even voiced his disbelief. Because they couldn't see any sign of Itachi caring about Sasuke. On the contrary, they were well aware of the immense hatred Sasuke held for Itachi. Seeing their completely disbelieving looks, Takaru just smiled lightly and didn't elaborate further. This was part of Itachi's brilliance, making Sasuke hate him. Firstly, it gave Sasuke the motivation of hatred to grow stronger. Secondly, others wouldn't think to use Sasuke to threaten him. Moreover, after negotiating terms with the Konoha's higher-ups, Itachi managed to let Sasuke live safely in relatively secure Konoha village. Alright, I've told you what I can. I'll take my leave now. With that, Takaru directly left the spot. Seeing Takaru's quickly disappearing figure, they were stunned. They wanted to stop him, as they still had many questions for Takaru, but he vanished too quickly. Now that Takaru was gone, they hesitated, then gathered to discuss whether they should believe Takaru's words. Takaru naturally couldn't be bothered with all that. He had told them. Believing or not was up to them, and it had no impact on him. Meanwhile, prompted by Takaru, Sasuke had gone directly to search for traces of Naruto. But compared to Itachi and Kisame, his speed was still a bit slower. Itachi and Kisame directly knocked on the door of the room where Naruto was. Knock knock. Naruto, who was training, was startled by the knocking sound and randomly dispelled his multiple shadow clones. What's this? He's already back from being dumped. Hearing the knock, Naruto spoke without thinking. Knock knock. I know, coming, I'll open the door. Listening to the increasingly loud knocking, Naruto helplessly called out. As Naruto opened the door, he saw Itachi with his Sharingan activated. Itachi's gaze was somewhat gloomy at the moment. Sasuke, it's not him, who is this? He has the same Sharingan as Sasuke. The moment he saw Itachi, Naruto's first thought was of Sasuke. To think this little brat contained the 9 tails. At that moment, Kisame also appeared in front of Naruto and spoke calmly. Why do these guys know about the 9 tails? Hearing Kisame's words, Naruto was stunned. Naruto, please come with us, outside. Without paying attention to the shocked Naruto, Itachi still politely spoke to him. These guys aren't ordinary. Sensing the terrifying aura emanating from Itachi and Kisame, Naruto broke out in a cold sweat. Not daring to resist further, he directly went to their side. Itachi-san, it would be troublesome if he ran away. Should we cut off one of his legs first? Out of caution, Kisame spoke expressionlessly, his hand already gripping Samahata on his back. Hearing Kisame's words, Naruto was shocked. Only Itachi remained silent, as if tacitly approving Kisame's action. As Kisame stepped closer, Itachi suddenly spoke, "Long time no see, Sasuke." Uchiha Itachi. Looking at Itachi with an extremely dark expression, Sasuke's whole body trembled slightly. Not from fear, but from the excitement of potentially being able to kill his enemy. "Oh, he has the Sharingan, and he looks a lot like you. Who exactly is that person?" Seeing Sasuke, Kisame also asked curiously. "My younger brother." Hearing Kisame's words, Itachi didn't hide it, as this matter couldn't be hidden anyway. "I heard the entire Uchiha clan was wiped out, killed by you." Kisame continued. "Uchiha Itachi, I'm going to kill you." Sasuke also looked at Itachi with hatred. Hearing Sasuke's words, Naruto then understood that this man was Sasuke's older brother, the one Sasuke had always wanted to kill. "I've done as you said, hated you, despised you, and lived until now. All to kill you." As he spoke, the Chidori quickly took shape in Sasuke's hand. Accompanied by its piercing screech, even Naruto could sense its power. However, this scene fell upon Itachi's eyes with extreme calmness, not causing the slightest ripple. He did recognize it, though, Kakashi's original technique, Chidori. "I'm going to kill you," Sasuke shouted, using Chidori to scrape along the wall as he charged at Itachi. With Sasuke's roar, a huge explosion sounded inside the inn, and a large hole was blasted through the wall, raising thick smoke. But as the smoke dissipated, Naruto could only discover in shock that Sasuke's Chidori attack was directly stopped by Itachi with one hand. Of course, Itachi didn't block the Chidori attack itself, he grabbed the arm Sasuke was using to release Chidori, making it impossible for him to resist. "What's going on?" Sasuke's ninjutsu was broken so easily. "It's bad, I need to think of something." Noticing Itachi applying force to Sasuke's arm, Naruto quickly formed hand seals. As Naruto formed seals, red chakra quickly condensed around him. Naruto's actions instantly drew the attention of Itachi and Kisame, as the Ninetales chakra was simply too conspicuous since it was vast and violent. "So this is the Ninetales chakra," Kisame said understandingly. Sasuke here still wanted to resist, but Itachi, finding him troublesome, directly broke the joints in his hand. Intense pain surged, making Sasuke cry out in agony. Hearing Sasuke's cry, Naruto became furious and formed another hand seal. Ninja art, summoning. Too slow. Seeing Naruto's move, Kisame directly swung Samahata at him. Instantly, the red chakra surrounding him vanished completely. "I can't feel chakra. Damn it, why is this happening?" The unbelieving Naruto kept trying to gather chakra, but no matter what, he couldn't condense any. "My Samahata can also shave off and devour chakra." Looking at the agitated Naruto, Kisame explained calmly. At the moment, Samahata, though wrapped in bandages, was wriggling constantly, as if it had a life of its own. "Letting you use ninjutsu would be troublesome. Rather than cutting a foot, let's cut off that hand first." Kisame pointed Samahata at Naruto and said. At the critical moment, accompanied by a puff of smoke, Samahata collided with a piece of metal, producing a clear ringing sound. Sensing something blocking his attack, Kisame was stunned. When the smoke cleared, he saw a frog wearing a special metal ring. This frog had used its equipped ring to block the attack. Then, behind Naruto, another puff of smoke appeared. "You guys really don't understand me well enough. A man like the great Jiraiya wouldn't be seduced by a woman. He's better at sweet-talking to deceive women. I wouldn't be lured by a woman's beauty. For a man like me, women come to me on their own." Carrying the woman previously hypnotized by Itachi, Jiraiya made his entrance and spoke in a Chinibyo manner. However, Jiraiya's words and actions instantly cooled the atmosphere. Everyone just stared at him blankly. You were so excited by that cheap trick of a woman batting her eyelashes. Stop trying to show off, pervy sage. Naruto mercilessly exposed Jiraiya's attempt to look cool. I told you not to call me that in front of others. Hearing Naruto's words, Jiraiya was more concerned about the nickname. Heh, so you've come, the legendary Sannin, Jiraiya. Even though you're a super pervert, I didn't expect you to be tricked away so easily. Kisame also said with a wicked smile. They even know pervy sage's true nature. Hearing Kisame's words, Naruto realized in shock that the two actually knew Jiraiya's identity and character. Can't really be called my true nature. Hearing Naruto's words, Jiraiya still tried to salvage what little remained of his image. Chapter 247, Chapter 247 Jiraiya and Itachi's clash, Kakashi and Guy's arrival 1351 words, to get me away from Naruto. You used genjutsu to hypnotize a woman. Such a scumbag move. So the target really is Naruto, huh? After putting the woman down, Jiraiya frowned and spoke. Hearing this, Naruto and Sasuke were both stunned. No wonder others know about this too. So that's it, the source of the information is you. Taking Naruto is the highest command given to us by our organization, Akatsuki. Hearing Jiraiya's words, Itachi reacted and spoke calmly. I won't hand Naruto over to you. Because Jiraiya had mentioned a bit about Akatsuki to Kakashi, when he heard from Itachi that others knew about this, he instinctively thought Itachi was referring to Kakashi. That's not necessarily true. Hearing Jiraiya's words, Itachi spoke calmly. I'm going to take care of both of you right here. Jiraiya said seriously. Don't interfere. The one who will kill this guy is me. However, hearing Jiraiya's words, Sasuke stood up again, looking at Itachi with hatred. I have no interest in you right now. Looking at Sasuke's state, Itachi felt some pain in his heart, but he didn't show it outwardly at all. Don't screw with me, Sasuke said, preparing to attack Itachi with his uninjured right hand. But before he could get close, he was kicked away. Naruto wanted to help but was directly yelled at by Sasuke to stay back. Then Sasuke charged at Itachi again. Yet, facing Sasuke's overestimation of his own abilities, Itachi sighed inwardly. He then easily received Sasuke's attack and kicked him away again. Afterward, the bleeding Sasuke still refused to give up. Seeing his persistence, Itachi agreed to a duel with him, which then began as a one-sided beating. Through Itachi's attacks, Sasuke finally understood how vast the gap between them was. It was just like before when he faced Itachi, with no change at all, causing Sasuke to doubt himself. Even as Sasuke was on the verge of losing consciousness, Itachi showed no sign of letting him go, directly pulling him up. You are weak. Why are you so weak? Because it's not enough, your hatred for me. As he spoke, Itachi cast Tsukuyomi on Sasuke once more, making him relive the painful night of the clan's massacre over and over. Enough already, you bastard. Finally, seeing Sasuke's suffering, Naruto couldn't hold back any longer and charged forward angrily. Seeing this, Kisame moved to stop Naruto. Meanwhile, Jiraiya seized the opportunity to use the summoning technique. Summoning, Toad Mouth Bind. As the entire corridor turned into fleshy walls, Itachi and Kisame sensed something was wrong. They then discovered that the fleshy walls were trying to engulf them. What a pity, Itachi, Kisame. You're already inside my stomach. I've summoned the esophagus of the giant toad of Mount Myaboku. Anyway, since you're both wanted criminals, just become food for the rock lodging. Jiraiya looked at the two with confidence. Kisame, over here. Sensing the hardness of the fleshy walls and their special devouring effect, Itachi didn't dare to linger. Hearing Itachi's words, Kisame walked toward him, quickly breaking free from the binding fleshy walls. So far, no one has ever escaped this place. Seeing Itachi and Kisame trying to flee, Jiraiya spoke confidently. However, as the arm-like appendage, controlled by Jiraiya, attacked the two, Kisame easily sliced through the tongue-like fleshy wall. Seeing the opening at the end, Itachi lightly closed his eyes. After a moment of concentration, the pitch-black Amaterasu was released, instantly burning a large hole in the hard fleshy wall. Then, without stopping, the two jumped away from the spot. Beside the hole in the wall, some residual Amaterasu continued to burn. They're gone. Naruto, who had rushed over, found Itachi and Kisame's figures had vanished and was stunned. To think this fleshy wall could be broken. Looking at the still-burning Amaterasu, Jiraiya was also stunned. Elsewhere, Itachi and Kisame, having evacuated from the in-town, were quickly running into the distance. Why retreat? With your strength. While retreating, Kisame was still somewhat confused. With Naruto's current state, we don't need to rush. And I also need to find a place to let my body rest properly. Facing Kisame's question, Itachi was covered in cold sweat. Using Tsukuyomi twice and Amaterasu twice in a single day placed an immense burden on his body and eyes. What kind of fire is this? On Naruto's side, seeing the Amaterasu flames still burning on the fleshy wall, he was curious. Don't get close carelessly. Seeing Naruto dare to approach so boldly, Jiraiya shouted loudly. Although he didn't know exactly what these black flames were, the fact that they could burn through the rock lodging's innards, which themselves were fire-resistant, clearly indicated they were no ordinary thing. What's this? Kakashi and Guy, who had just arrived, also noticed this scene, the terrifying fleshy walls and the pitch-black Amaterasu flames. Kakashi-sensei, Bushy-brow-sensei. Seeing Kakashi and Guy appear, Naruto called out excitedly. Kakashi, Guy, do you know what this thing is? Hearing that Kakashi seemed to recognize the black flames, Jiraiya asked curiously. According to Takaru, these flames are called Amaterasu. They are the highest level fire release ninjutsu, possessing the characteristic that they won't extinguish until the burning object is completely consumed. Hearing Jiraiya's question, Kakashi directly relayed Takaru's words. Hearing this, Jiraiya's expression turned grave. No wonder they could destroy the rock lodging's innards. Thinking this, he quickly opened a blank scroll and began writing and drawing on it rapidly. Sealing technique, fire sealing method. After finishing, Jiraiya quickly formed hand seals and sealed this special Amaterasu fire away. There, that should be fine. After completely sealing the fire into the scroll, Jiraiya carefully tied it with rope to prevent anyone from unknowingly opening it. Is Sasuke all right? At that moment, Kakashi thought of something and asked Jiraiya worriedly. Over there. Seeing Kakashi's concerned expression, Jiraiya had the rock lodging release Sasuke. Then, Kakashi saw the severely injured Sasuke and his listless spirit. Seeing this, he knew Sasuke had definitely been hit by Tsukuyomi. Take Sasuke to the medical team. Fractured hand bones and ribs, and also suffered a mental attack from dojutsu, losing consciousness. Jiraiya briefly explained the situation to the two. Pervy Sage, Kakashi-sensei, will Sasuke be okay? Naruto asked worriedly. The physical injuries are manageable, but the mental trauma looks quite severe. Hearing Naruto's words, Jiraiya didn't dare to make guarantees. Don't worry. There's someone I know who can treat Sasuke. Seeing Naruto's worried look, Kakashi spoke calmly. Really, Kakashi-sensei? Hearing Kakashi's words, Naruto said excitedly. That person you also know. Nara Takaru. Hearing Naruto's words, Kakashi didn't hide it from him. Nara Takaru. Hearing this name, Jiraiya was also stunned. He instinctively thought of the figure who descended on a giant ball of ice during Orochimaru's Konoha Crush plan. Hearing this, Naruto was also stunned. Both Lee's injuries and my injuries were healed by him. Seeing Naruto's surprised expression, Kakashi spoke calmly. Is that so? In that case, I'll leave Sasuke to you. We have important matters to attend to now. Hearing the two, although Jiraiya wasn't sure what had happened, he still had important things to handle first. Pervy Sage, let's change plans. Even though I was scared earlier, this time I'll chase after those guys in black cloaks and beat them down. They're looking for me, right? Then I'll go find them myself. Naruto said excitedly. As you are now, even if you go, you'll just be killed. The difference in strength is too great. Hearing his words, Jiraiya directly poured cold water on his enthusiasm. He's right. Although I don't want to admit it, even I am no match for them right now. Hearing Naruto's words, Kakashi also spoke calmly. Pervy sage, Kakashi-sensei. Hearing both of them say this, Naruto was stunned. Then what? Am I supposed to keep hiding from them, living in fear every day? Naruto then said angrily. You're too weak. Looking at the agitated Naruto, Jiraiya directly scolded him. After all, Naruto's strength was still far too lacking. Chapter 248, Chapter 248 Extorting Kakashi, Information on Obito 1324 words. Sorry, Kakashi. I originally wanted to respect this kid's wishes. I should have rescued him earlier. Looking at Sasuke's condition, Jiraiya sighed. I understand, Jiraiya-sama. But the situation isn't too terrible now. We'll handle things here. Hearing Jiraiya's words, Kakashi also sighed. Guy understood very well too, after all, Lee had been the same. Afterwards, they said their goodbyes. Naruto was still taken away by Jiraiya, continuing their journey to find Tsunade. During this time, Jiraiya would also teach Naruto the Rasengan. This period wouldn't be short. At the very least, under normal circumstances, by the time the two returned, Takeru's mission would already be over. On Kakashi and Guy's side, after parting with Naruto and Jiraiya, they directly carried Sasuke and hurried toward Takeru's residence. Takeru, noticing Sasuke's condition, showed an understanding expression, gestured for the three not to worry, and then walked toward the door. Sasuke went after Itachi. Now his body and spirit have suffered severe damage. Seeing Takeru was home, Kakashi and Guy breathed a sigh of relief and quickly explained. Let's change locations. My house isn't suitable for him to rest. Hearing his words, Takeru spoke calmly. All right, let's go to the Uchiha estate. It's quieter there. Hearing Takeru's words, the two didn't object. Kakashi directly suggested. Hearing this, Takeru nodded indifferently and followed Kakashi toward the Uchiha estate. They soon arrived at Sasuke's home, and Kakashi very skillfully found Sasuke's room, placing him on the bed. Before the treatment, there's something I need to discuss with you. Seeing everything was ready, Takeru looked at the two and spoke directly. What is it? Hearing Takeru's words, Kakashi had a bad premonition, but still asked quickly. I need ninjutsu. I've heard you've copied over 1,000 ninjutsu, Kakashi. So for me to treat Sasuke, I need you to provide me with 5 high-level ninjutsu. Any from wind, fire, earth, water, or lightning will do as payment for my treatment. Of course, if you're willing to part with your signature technique, the Chidori, that works too. The Chidori can count as 2 other ninjutsu. Takeru spoke calmly. Hearing Takeru's words, Kakashi was stunned. He hadn't expected Takeru to ask for ninjutsu. Guy, hearing this, remained silent. He had been wondering earlier why Takeru saved Kakashi. It was very likely he had his eyes on Kakashi's ninjutsu. This is a simple transaction. I won't force you. Looking at Kakashi, Takeru spoke calmly. After hearing Takeru's words, Kakashi fell silent. As far as I know, you shouldn't be able to learn chakra, right? So you shouldn't be able to learn ninjutsu either. Then why do you need ninjutsu? Hearing Takeru's words, Kakashi frowned and inquired. Although I truly can't learn ninjutsu, I can still use some ninjutsu for reference. Like this one. Takeru gave a light laugh, pressing his left hand downward. Soon, sparks of electricity quickly appeared in Takeru's left hand. Then, the light of lightning quickly illuminated the entire room. Along with the lightning came the piercing screech of a bird. Seeing this, both Kakashi and Guy were surprised. Kakashi seemed particularly shaken, not expecting his own technique to be copied by Takaru just like that. Something like that. Seeing his surprised gaze, Takaru nodded calmly. Since you've already learned it, why do you still need this technique? Kakashi frowned again. That's my secret. And this skill of mine is fundamentally different from your Chidori. This isn't ninjutsu, and you should realize that, right? Hearing his words, Takaru spoke flatly. Hearing Takaru, Kakashi fell silent again. Honestly, he wasn't that possessive about the ninjutsu, and he was more worried about Takaru using these ninjutsu to cause trouble. Seriously. Alright, I know. How about this? I can assure you that any ninjutsu you give me, I will never spread them in this world. Is that acceptable? Seeing Kakashi's hesitation, Takaru sighed and said. Hearing Takaru's words, Kakashi frowned, faintly sensing something off, but he never considered that Takaru might not be from this world. After all, Takaru's origins were clear, the Nara clan. I understand. I agree to give you the ninjutsu. After hearing Takaru say this, Kakashi sighed and nodded. Excellent. Then it's decided. I hope to receive your scrolls within tomorrow. By the way, if you can give them to me today, I wouldn't mind giving you some extra information about your friend Obito. After hearing Kakashi's agreement, Takaru said with a light laugh. What did you say? Hearing Takaru's words, Kakashi's emotions became somewhat unstable. His gaze toward Takaru grew even more intense. He had a premonition that Takaru's information was definitely not simple. Alright, I'll treat Sasuke first. As for the rest, after you prepare the ninjutsu scrolls, depending on their value, I can give you answers. Of course, I guarantee the information is true. After teasing Kakashi's curiosity a bit, Takaru stopped paying attention to him, and turned to look at the unconscious Sasuke. Soon, two beams of light appeared in Takaru's hands. Then, under Takaru's control, one blue and one green light quickly enveloped Sasuke. As the two lights acted on Sasuke's body, his injuries visibly recovered, and his complexion began to regain color. After about 5 minutes, Takaru stopped the healing and purification. There, Sasuke's injuries are taken care of. Next, I'll wait for your ninjutsu scrolls. Come find me at my place when you're ready. Then, I can tell you the information you want. With that, Takaru directly left the spot. After watching Takaru leave, Kakashi briefly checked on Sasuke, then left with Guy. He now needed to quickly prepare the scrolls for Takaru. He was really very curious about what Takaru mentioned regarding Obito. Back at his own house, Takaru was questioned by Ritsu and the others about what happened. Seeing their curious faces, Takaru casually mentioned that Kakashi had asked him to treat someone. Hearing Takaru's words, the three nodded in understanding. Then, Takaru nii, can't the flames on your body be extinguished? Afterwards, Ui spoke up worriedly. Don't worry. I just need to transfer them to another object and let them burn out completely. Hearing Ui's words, Takaru lightly shook his head. Although they were said to be inextinguishable, after such a long time, the flames had diminished a bit. They would completely go out after a while longer. There was another method. Takaru could use telekinesis to transfer the flames. After all, Amaterasu wasn't like other flames that grow stronger with more combustibles. Instead, after burning an object without adding new flames, it slowly extinguishes. Now, the damage count on Takaru's equipment had reached 12. Moreover, it seemed Amaterasu was completely ineffective against the equipped items, so Takaru didn't plan to let it continue burning. Thinking this, Takaru directly used telekinesis to gather the Amaterasu flames on his body, making them float in the air, then directed them toward a large tree not far away. As the tree quickly burned to ashes, the black Amaterasu flames disappeared along with it. Seeing the flames on Takaru finally vanish, Karen excitedly rushed toward Takaru, wanting to hug him, but she was still stopped by Takaru's telekinetic barrier before making contact. Feeling the telekinetic interception made Karen unhappy, but Takaru just let out a light laugh, saying he needed to go clean up first. Arriving in the bathroom, Takaru filled the tub with water, then stored away the Twilight Armor, Twilight Shadow, and Twilight Moon. After the damage count reached 12, the attributes of the 3 pieces of equipment improved a bit again. Twilight Shadow, defense plus 300, additional skill, destruction growth. Damage count, 12. Twilight Armor, defense plus 360, additional skill, destruction growth. Damage count, 12. Twilight Moon, defense plus 240, strength plus 420, additional skill, destruction growth. Damage count, 12. The damage reduction from the set effect also reached 12%. Takaru understood that the damage reduction was calculated based on the lowest damage count among the 3 set pieces. Chapter 249. Chapter 249 The Truth About Obito, The Unbelieving Kakashi 1426 words. After a quick wash, Takaru got dressed again and walked out. As soon as he stepped out, Karen, who had been waiting outside, pounced on him. "Karen, shouldn't you be training?" Looking at Karen clinging to him, Takaru said helplessly. "That can wait a bit." Hearing Takaru's words, Karen spoke nonchalantly. Seeing Karen's behavior, Ui and Ritsu looked at each other and smiled wryly. "Oh right, Takaru nii. I can now use Nin to rotate the ball and make it burst. Is this level okay?" Suddenly, Ui took out a special white ball. As she injected Nin into it, and the ball received a large amount of chaotic, conflicting airflow, it directly burst open with a hole. As the air leaked, the ball deflated. Although not bad, this level is still a bit lacking. You need to make the powerful airflow burst the ball instantly. Seeing that Ui could use Nin to burst the ball in just a few days, Takaru was somewhat surprised. However, simply bursting it wasn't enough to truly form the Rasengan. That's right, what Ui was currently learning was the Rasengan taught by Takaru. Back when he first obtained Nin, Takaru had already tried to release the Rasengan. Due to his understanding of its principle, and his superb control over Nin, Takaru quickly mastered the use of the Rasengan, though he hadn't used it much before. This time, seeing Ui so interested in the revolving heaven she learned from Niji, and considering Ui's own lean toward assassin-type skills, Takaru thought the Rasengan would be a good addition for her. So after the exams ended, he began teaching her. First stage, bursting a water balloon. Ui easily burst the water balloon in about an hour. Second stage, it took for more days until now to be able to burst the rubber ball. Her speed was still quite good, though this level was still a bit lacking. Thinking this, Takaru directly used telekinesis to pull a rubber ball into his hand. Then, under the influence of his Nen, the 3 saw the ball quickly develop protrusions before reaching a pressure critical point and exploding into fragments. Seeing Takaru burst the ball so easily, Ui fell into deep thought, pondering where she went wrong. Seeing Ui thinking again, Takaru didn't say much more. It's worth mentioning that for Rasengan practice, Takaru only gave Ui a few simple demonstrations and told her the training methods. The rest was up to her own exploration. Reaching the level of being able to burst the rubber ball in just 4 days. Although Nin itself is a bit more volatile than chakra, purely using rotating Nin to burst a rubber ball isn't that simple. Ui doing it in 4 days was enough to show her excellence. However, Takaru also realized that for purely emission-type skills like this, Enhancer could unleash greater power. Seeing Ui resume her special skill practice, Ritsu felt somewhat envious. But she didn't have Nin, and currently, the skills she was learning, aside from 2 spells, were only Observation Haki and Armament Haki. The rest of her points were basically used to strengthen herself. After all, she understood well that only with a sufficient personal foundation could she support the use of more skills. Otherwise, even learning hundreds of skills would be useless if she couldn't use them after just one. As for Observation Haki and Armament Haki, they could only be improved through constant personal training. Takaru had given her some suggestions on training methods, so for now, she could only focus on continuously strengthening these 2 special skills to achieve a level of mastery. Afterwards, Takaru had Karen go back to her diligent training, then also began training himself while thinking. For Takaru and the others, 49 days had passed in this world. Only 11 days remained of the 2-month period. Honestly, Takaru didn't plan to stir up any trouble in this final stretch. He intended to spend it quietly and leave this world when the time limit arrived. As they trained, time quickly passed until evening. As the sun was about to set, Kakashi came to Takaru's home again. "Kakashi-san, would you like to join us for dinner?" Noticing Kakashi's arrival, Yui politely invited him. "No, I came to see Takaru." Hearing Yui's invitation, Kakashi shook his head. "All right, I'll go get him." Hearing Kakashi say this, Yui quickly nodded. "No need, Yui. Go back first. Kakashi and I need to discuss something." Takaru, noticing Kakashi's arrival, quickly came out. "I understand." Hearing Takaru say this, Yui smiled lightly and nodded, appearing very obedient. Soon, Takaru and Kakashi arrived at a relatively secluded spot. "Here you go." Upon arriving, Kakashi directly threw 5 scrolls to Takaru. Takaru casually caught them, then checked the techniques inside. "To think you'd be so generous, even giving up the Chidori. Looks like Obito really means a lot to you." Seeing the techniques inside, Takaru said with surprise. Although he had said Chidori could count as 2 techniques, seeing Kakashi willing to give more, Takaru didn't mind accepting them. Then, Takaru looked at the other 4 ninjutsu: Water Release, Great Waterfall Technique, Water Release, Water Dragon Bullet Technique, Earth Release, Earth-Style Wall, Lightning Release, Shadow Clone Technique, plus the self-created Lightning Release, Chidori. Takaru could see Kakashi's sincerity, and put the scrolls away with satisfaction. "Let me start by telling you this, Uchiha Obito is not dead." Looking at Kakashi, Takaru said with a light laugh. "That's impossible." Hearing Takaru's words, Kakashi was directly stunned, his first reaction being disbelief. He had seen Obito die with his own eyes. Hearing Takaru say this now, Kakashi naturally frowned immediately. "You don't believe me? Then let me ask you, did you see Uchiha Obito's body?" Seeing Kakashi's disbelief, Takaru wasn't surprised at all, it seemed perfectly natural. Hearing Takaru say this, he indeed hadn't seen Obito's body. But that alone couldn't confirm Obito wasn't dead. During the Canopy Bridge mission, Obito was only crushed by rocks and in a near-death state. In the end, he was saved by someone and survived just fine. Seeing Kakashi speechless, Takaru continued. "If that's the case, why didn't he return to Konoha? Don't tell me he lost his memory or was imprisoned." Hearing Takaru's words, Kakashi spoke directly. In his heart, he hoped Obito really was alive. At the very least, it would ease his pain. Of course not. On the contrary, he has been active throughout the ninja world, just under a different identity. He calls himself Uchiha Madara. Remember the organization called Akatsuki Jiraiya mentioned? He's one of the masterminds behind it. Seeing Kakashi so agitated, Takaru remained very calm, and directly dropped another bombshell. One of the masterminds behind Akatsuki. How could Obito possess such power? Hearing Takaru's words, Kakashi's expression grew even more complex. This information was too shocking, and currently very difficult to verify. He didn't know whether to believe it or not. You must be wondering why Obito didn't return to Konoha village, but instead went to found Akatsuki. Looking at Kakashi's expression, Takaru continued. Instinctively, Kakashi asked. He didn't not return to Konoha village. He secretly came back several times, each time causing major incidents. During the Ninetales attack, when the Ninetales Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Kushina, was about to give birth, Obito seized the opportunity when the seal would be weakened to infiltrate Konoha village. He easily broke through the powerful barriers around the hospital, captured Kushina, opened the seal, used a summoning technique to call the Ninetales, controlled it with his dojutsu, and made the Ninetales destroy Konoha. During the Uchiha clan massacre, Obito's presence was detected by Uchiha Itachi. The two reached an agreement, with the condition being not to harm Sasuke or Konoha. Later, the two joined forces to exterminate the entire clan. Since then, only Sasuke, Itachi, and Obito remained of the clan. Takaru spoke flatly. As for the matter of Madara, Takaru didn't bring it up directly. Impossible. Obito would never do such things. Hearing Takaru's words, Kakashi refuted again. In his memory, Obito was just a comrade who cherished his friends, kind, caring, dream-filled, naive, valued his own pace, optimistic, lively, positive, a hothead, and a very confident fool. You must be very puzzled why Obito became like this. It has a lot to do with you. It was when you killed Rin that Obito happened to witness the entire scene. That's why he completely turned to darkness. Looking at Kakashi, who still didn't believe, Takaru spoke directly. Chapter 250, Chapter 250 Ninjutsu Gains, Shimura Danzo 1383 words. Hearing Takaru mention the Kanobi Bridge mission and Rin, Kakashi stared blankly at Takaru, shocked that Takaru even knew these hidden matters. This meant the earlier things Takaru said might all be true. Remembering Rin's death was a thorn in Kakashi's heart. Although Rin intentionally threw herself onto Kakashi's Chidori to prevent the Kirigakuru's plot from succeeding, preventing the three tails sealed inside her from going berserk. However, the pain of personally killing his comrade, combined with Obito's death just before, the successive loss of two companions, subjected Kakashi's body and mind to continuous nightmare torment. As for why Obito can control a terrifying and special organization like Akatsuki, aside from the Mangekyo Sharingan, it's because there is another mastermind beside Obito. He orchestrated everything, saving Obito, teaching Obito to become stronger, then making Obito completely lose hope in the ninja world, all his doing. Hearing Takaru's words, Kakashi hadn't expected there to be a mastermind behind it all. Thinking this, Kakashi pressed his lips together and asked, "Who is that person?" "One of Konoha's founders. Uchiha Madara." Takaru spoke again. Takaru's words made Kakashi's heart race. The impact of Takaru's words was too great. The shocks of this single day surpassed those of an entire year. "Oh, one last piece of information for you. Yori has already awakened the Mangekyo. If I'm not mistaken, it should be a space-time dojutsu kamui. As for how to use it, you'll have to figure that out yourself." Seeing the sky darken, Takaru calmly patted Kakashi's shoulder, then directly left the spot. As for the matter of Madara, Takaru had no intention of explaining further. He certainly didn't plan to reveal the person behind him, Black Zetsu, or the Otsutsuki clan. Leaving Kakashi, Takaru returned to the house with the scrolls. He then took out all the scrolls and quickly counted them. There were now 48 scrolls, 43 of which were seized from Orochimaru. Although most were C-rank ninjutsu, there were still S-rank ones like Edo Tensei and Triple Rashomon. And A-rank ones like 5-element seal, multiple shadow clone technique, earth release, hiding in rock technique, water release, great exploding water colliding wave, water release, great waterfall technique. B-rank ones, body elimination technique, shadow clone technique, fire release, dragon flame release song technique, fire release, great dragon fire technique, earth release, earth flow river, earth barrier, earth prison dome of magnificent nothingness, earth release, earth dragon bullet, water release, water formation wall, water dragon bullet technique, wind release, vacuum great sphere, wind release, pressure damage, mystical palm technique. As for C-rank, there were many more, fire release, dragon fire technique, fire release, Phoenix Sage Fire Technique, Fire Release, Great Fireball Technique, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough, Earth Release, Headhunter Technique, Wind Release, Gale Palm. The number of techniques was vast. Although Orochimaru himself hadn't learned many, he collected them for research purposes, which now benefited Takaru. Although Takaru knew Orochimaru still had forbidden techniques, like living corpse reincarnation, that he hadn't handed over, Takaru didn't mind. This many gains was already very satisfying. Knowing the nature of the reincarnation space, Takaru directly selected 25 ninjutsu scrolls, then distributed the rest to Ritsu and Ui. They also understood the value of these ninjutsu scrolls. Although they couldn't learn them now, that didn't mean they were worthless. Later, as more people entered the reincarnation space, more people would want to learn ninjutsu. Once people started learning, the value of these scrolls would become apparent. Not everyone could get A rank or S rank evaluations and casually spend points and evaluations to learn in the reincarnation space. Takaru and I don't need them. Let me carry some for you. Compared to Ritsu, who was enthusiastically picking, Yui directly spoke to Takaru. Seeing Yui's serious expression, Takaru nodded lightly. Hearing Yui's words, Ritsu, who was picking, paused, feeling a bit embarrassed. It's fine, Ritsu. You pick for yourself. Aren't you going to learn chakra when we go back? You can pick some then. Later, if I learn them, I can teach you too. Seeing Ritsu's expression, Takaru said with a light laugh. Wah, Takaru, you're the best. Hearing Takaru's words, Ritsu was moved and directly hugged Takaru. All right, you pick first. But the points needed later might be considerable. It's better to pick mainly C-rank ninjutsu than a few B-rank ones. Looking at Ritsu, Takaru spoke seriously. Hearing Takaru's words, Ritsu quickly nodded. Afterward, the three quickly divided the scrolls. The extras were taken by Takaru. Takaru wasn't sure how many he could materialize this time, but it was better to be prepared. Karen, beside them, had no idea what Takaru and the others were talking about. She could only keep asking Takaru, but Takaru told her the time wasn't right yet, and he would tell her later. Hearing Takaru say this, Karen could only nod quickly. As time passed, 2 days went by in the blink of an eye. However, on the evening of the second day, some uninvited guests came to Takaru's home. Although wearing special masks, compared to the animal masks of the Umbu, these people didn't seem much like Umbu. Nara, Takaru, come with us. Our leader wants to see you. The three directly barged into Takaru's room, subtly surrounding him, as if guarding against him escaping or attacking. Oh, Umbu. Isn't the third Hokage dead? Hearing his words, Takaru understood better. They were probably referring to another dark organization in Konoha. But to avoid mistakes, Takaru tested the waters. You'll know when you see him. Hearing Takaru's words, the leader spoke coldly. At that moment, sensing something amiss, Ritsu and the other two barged in. Yui, Ritsu and Karen, I have something to attend to. Stay home and behave. Looking at the three, Takaru spoke directly. Since Root had come to his door, Takaru naturally couldn't ignore it. Danzo wasn't like Hiruzen. Although neither was exactly a good person, at least Hiruzen's actions weren't so extreme. But Danzo was different, he would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. Not long after the Ninetales attack, he even attempted to assassinate Hiruzen to become Hokage, but the plan failed due to Kakashi's betrayal. If Takaru remembered correctly, after the assassination failed, Hiruzen should have ordered Danzo to disband Root. As for whether Danzo simply didn't listen, or had he already rebuilt it in the days since Hiruzen's death, Takaru wasn't clear about that. But since Danzo had sought him out now, peacefully spending the remaining few days was likely impossible. In that case, Takaru had to settle things with him. Therefore, when Takaru followed the Root's members, he also placed 3 shadow persons hidden in Yui, Ritsu and Karen's shadows. If they encountered danger, the shadow persons would protect them. Yui, what should we do? Seeing Takaru leave with the 3 Roots members, Ritsu worriedly looked at Yui. Don't worry. Since Takaru said so, we'll just wait patiently at home. With Takaru's strength, nothing will go wrong. Facing Ritsu's question, Yui hesitated before speaking. She had naturally sensed the hostility from the 3 Roots members earlier, which was why they had come so quickly. As for Karen, she directly activated her mind's eye of the Kagura to observe Takaru, ready to help if he was in danger. Although she knew Takaru's strength far surpassed hers, if someone she cared about was in danger, she would help even at the cost of her life. On Takaru's side, after following the 3 and taking several twists and turns, they soon arrived at a very hidden, gloomy place. Follow us in. As the leading Root member spoke, Takaru followed him into a basement. Passing through a dark corridor, Takaru felt as if he passed through a special barrier. Finally, Takaru met the so-called darkness of ninja world. Shimura Danzo. Let me introduce myself. I am Shimura Danzo, leader of the root. The so-called root exists beneath Konoha's shadow, its roots deeply embedded in darkness. Our greatest purpose is to eliminate obstacles that hinder the village's prosperity in the shadows. That is our organization's principle. Nara Takaru, the reason for inviting you today is for you to join this organization and contribute your strength to Konoha. Seeing Takaru, Danzo showed no intention of hiding anything, directly getting to the point. Chapter 251, Chapter 251 Killing Danzo, the Eve of Return. 1260 words. Oh, really? Why have I never heard of this organization? Hearing his words, Takaru said with feigned confusion. Of course. Since it's Konoha's most hidden organization, it's normal you haven't heard of it. Now make your choice. Looking at Takaru, Danzo spoke again. What if I say no? Hearing his words, Takaru narrowed his eyes slightly and spoke softly. This is the duty of dedicating yourself to Konoha. If I remember correctly, you have 3 companions, right? And one of them is a ninja from Kusagakure. If you refuse, I have reason to suspect you are a spy from another village. Then we will deal with you, including your accomplices. Hearing Takaru's words, Danzo spoke nonchalantly. In his view, although Takaru's abilities were strange, he was ultimately just someone with a bit of strength. Is that so? What a pity. Hearing his words, Takaru hadn't expected him to be so direct about silencing him. Seeing this, Takaru didn't bother wasting more words. Go, Shadow Core, kill them all. Thinking this, Takaru directly summoned a large number of shadow persons, quickly attacking the ninjas inside. Takaru himself hid. After all, Takaru wasn't stupid, he knew Danzo's right eye contained Shursue's Mangekyo. Although Takaru wasn't afraid of ordinary genjutsu, he wouldn't easily test the waters against Kotoama Tsukumi, which is known as the strongest genjutsu. Although Danzo didn't seem to intend to use it on Takaru now, just in case, Takaru didn't dare appear before him easily. Kill him. Seeing Takaru dare to attack him, Danzo decisively ordered. As over a dozen Roots members appeared, they quickly surrounded and attacked Takaru. However, these people were no match for Takaru, as their strength was only around special Jonin level. As for familiar faces like Aburame Toryun, Yamanaka Fu, or Sai, Takaru didn't see them at all. Takaru didn't mind. Facing the interception of these Roots members, Takaru's Shadow Core, with extremely bizarre and swift movements, slaughtered them. With the sound of huge explosions, the Roots members seemed to suffer invisible attacks, directly sent flying, vomiting blood. Seeing this, Danzo frowned deeply, warily looking around, yet still finding nothing, including Takaru's figure. As for Takaru, he was circling the area at super high speed, making it impossible for anyone to detect his presence. Seeing 5 Root-S members die in an instant, Danzo finally stopped underestimating Takaru. He quickly unwrapped the bandage on his right eye, revealing the Mangekyo Sharingan. Seeing this, Takaru shook his head with a light laugh. Mahaptama. As Takaru's words fell, the space within this area froze. Everyone's actions halted. Takaru slowly walked to Danzo's side, then directly dug out his eye, including the Sharingan on his arm. After digging them out, Takaru materialized a container, placed them inside, then effortlessly ended Danzo's life. When time resumed, seeing the injuries to his heart and neck, and the loss of his Sharingan, Danzo was in a state of confusion, completely unclear about what had happened. Takaru didn't care. He bypassed him, and walked toward the inner chamber. Soon, with observation Haki perception, he found some more ninjutsu scrolls. He also found some special preservation fluids, perfect for storing harvested body tissues, ideal for the Sharingan. The scrolls he collected were mainly wind release, wood release, and sealing techniques. Takaru wasn't polite and swept up all the scrolls, then directly left the spot. Due to the special barrier, although there had been several explosions inside, the outside seemed completely unaware. Returning home, Takaru's expression was calm, not showing any sign of abnormality. "Takaru, are you okay?" Seeing Takaru return, Yui and the other two, who had been waiting at home, quickly asked worriedly. Not bad. Oh, here, these are for you." Lightly shaking his head, Takaru directly gave Yui and Ritsu 2 3-tomo Sharingan each. Takaru still kept Shirsue's Mangekyo and for 3-tomo Sharingan. "This is..." Ritsu, who had been somewhat excited, instantly trembled. "Yes, harvest from my little trip just now." Looking at the frightened Ritsu, Takaru spoke calmly. "But Takaru nii, what do you mean?" Yui looked at the eyeballs soaking in special fluid, also unable to understand Takaru's intention. "Of course, they're for you. Although I'm not entirely sure, I think that place should allow us to perfectly integrate these eyes. Although many abilities of these eyes are average, they still have many merits, especially for you, Ritsu, if you plan to learn chakra later." Looking at the two, Takaru directly explained. "I understand. Thank you." Hearing Takaru say this, Ritsu reacted. Having been in this world for so long, she naturally wouldn't be unaware of the Sharingan. Thinking this, she suppressed her disgust and quickly stored the Sharingan in her item slots. Afterwards, Takaru also took out some ninjutsu collected from there. He first gave some sealing techniques to Karen for her to learn on her own. Then Takaru and the others picked through the new ninjutsu again. Seeing this, Takaru sighed. Having too many ninjutsu was also a kind of trouble. Of course, although there were many ninjutsu, if the materialization later couldn't include them all, Takaru would prioritize materializing the most valuable ones first. After distributing the ninjutsu, Takaru told the three not to worry, and had them go rest. Soon, 3 more days passed. It was only on this day that Danzo's body was belatedly discovered, mainly because of the barrier. Seeing Danzo's miserable death, the hollow right eye socket, and the special eye sockets on his arm, the Konoha's elders grew grave. They found it unbelievable that someone could silently eliminate Danzo, and seemingly harvesting parts of his body. However, since Danzo wasn't a character who appeared openly in Konoha, not many knew him apart from clan heads, elite jonin like Kakashi and Asuma, and other jonin. These people gathered and discussed the matter of Danzo. Through continuous investigation, they uncovered many secrets Danzo had hidden. Seeing Danzo's involvement in many events, everyone fell silent. The clans especially gritted their teeth in hatred towards Danzo. What everyone didn't know was that Danzo had long destroyed evidence for many things, and what remained were mostly experimental data and records. Only Kakashi frowned, inexplicably thinking of Takaru. However, he didn't voice it. As the discussion continued, they unanimously pointed the finger at Itachi, who had appeared in Konoha recently, concluding that Itachi had killed Danzo. Hearing their analysis, Kakashi listened silently. The more they analyzed, the more sense it made. Only Itachi could silently kill Danzo. Moreover, among Danzo's hidden secrets were some transactions with Itachi, so it was likely a deal gone wrong, leading Itachi to personally kill Danzo. After discussion, they secretly buried Danzo and let the matter drop. Takaru didn't know that their speculation had shifted all blame to Itachi, making him take the fall. Although somewhat amusing, it also saved Takaru a lot of trouble. However, Kakashi later found Takaru. Facing Kakashi's inquiry, Takaru neither admitted nor denied, only telling Kakashi he wouldn't act against Konoha. At least not if Konoha didn't provoke him first. Getting Takaru's answer, Kakashi sighed deeply, hoping Takaru would keep his promise, then left. Soon, 7 more days passed. On the eve of departure, Takaru found Karen. "Karen, although I believe you vaguely sensed it before, our situation is very special. Later, we will leave here for a very special place. Are you willing to leave with me?" Looking at Karen, Takaru spoke seriously. After over a month of interaction, Takaru had developed deeper feelings for this passionate, decisive girl. So now, Takaru personally asked her. Chapter 252, Chapter 252 Settlement. Senjutsu Chakra and Senju Bloodline 1316 Words Don't leave me alone again. Hearing Takeru's words, Karen immediately shouted loudly and tightly hugged Takeru. I understand, Karen. Wait here properly. Don't worry, I'll come get you very soon. Hearing her words, Takeru spoke with a light laugh. Okay, you must come get me quickly. Hearing Takeru say this, although Karen didn't want to separate, she could only nod. Definitely. Takeru gently patted her head. Then, Takeru took Yui and Ritsu, bid farewell to Karen, and arrived at a hidden location. As the appointed time arrived, a special light enveloped the three, and then they vanished from the spot. Congratulations on passing the ninja world. Beginning settlement. Main Mission 1. Survive 2 months, completed. Main Mission 2. Participate in the Chunin exams, higher rating the longer you persist, completed. Side Mission 1. Prevent the Konoha Crush plan, rating increased based on contribution. Due to maximum contribution, rating significantly increased. Side Mission 2. Repel Uchiha Itachi and Kisame, completed. Side Mission 3. Treat Rock Lee, completed. Hidden Mission 1. Kill Danzo, completed. Hidden Mission 2. Destroy Root, completed. Influenced some people, evaluation increased. Influenced a small number of key individuals significantly, rating increased. Settlement complete. Congratulations on obtaining an S-rank rating. Reward, S-rank evaluation X1, 100,000 points, S-rating treasure chest. Would you like to open the S-rating treasure chest now? Looking at the side and hidden missions, Takeru was slightly stunned. He hadn't expected Danzo to contribute 2 special hidden missions in the end. In that sense, Danzo was really a good person. Open the S-rating treasure chest. After a moment of reflection, Takeru quickly chose to open the chest. Congratulations on opening the chest. You have obtained Senjutsu Chakra Extraction Scroll X1, Senju Bloodline Scroll X1, Item Slot Expansion Permit X3, Advanced Skill Enhancement Scroll X1. Hearing the prompt, Takeru was shocked. Although the items weren't many, they all seemed extremely rare and important. Without overthinking, Takeru quickly took out the items and examined them. Senjutsu Chakra Extraction Scroll. Upon use, the user gains the ability to extract Senjutsu Chakra. First use grants a trace of Senjutsu Chakra, no risk involved. Senju Bloodline Scroll, Special Bloodline Scroll. Upon use, the user gains the special constitution of the Senju clan, improving aptitude and significantly enhancing certain talents, no side effects. Seeing this, Takeru was stunned. Although tempted, he restrained himself. System, after using a bloodline scroll, if I obtain another later, can I still use it? Although the Senju bloodline was special, Takeru didn't want to gamble with his future. Using multiple bloodlines requires using S-rank evaluations and a certain number of points for bloodline fusion. If not fused, unless the bloodlines share similar traits or do not interfere, subsequent bloodline power will consume previously used ones. Hearing Takeru's inquiry, the system quickly provided an answer. Hearing this, Takeru finally set his worries aside. System, use the Senjutsu Chakra Scroll and Senju Bloodline Scroll. Thinking this, Takeru put aside his concerns and spoke quickly. As Takeru's words fell, the 2 scrolls quickly disappeared. Then, Takeru felt 2 streams of energy rapidly modifying his body. Sensing a peculiar itching sensation throughout his body, and a stream of memories flooding his mind, Takeru frowned. However, due to his strong willpower, he didn't make any sound of pain. After a while, Takeru received the system's prompt that both scrolls were successfully used. Takeru also sensed a surge in his power. Compared to Nen, the increase in chakra was clearer in Takeru's perception, especially the boost from Senjutsu Chakra. Combined with the successful transformation from the Senju constitution, Takeru felt distinctly different. Closing his eyes to sense, Takeru perceived a unique golden energy within his body. This unfamiliar energy was undoubtedly Senjutsu Chakra. However, although he used Senjutsu Chakra, Takaru found he didn't seem to undergo any special changes. For example, there's no eye markings that characters like Naruto and Hashirama had. The current Takaru, apart from a slight change in demeanor, looked no different. Unclear about the reason, Takaru didn't dwell on it and instead felt relieved. After all, Takaru didn't want to be too conspicuous. Moreover, although only a trace of Senjutsu chakra was added, Takaru felt it wasn't little. Although he didn't know how much chakra Kakashi had, Takaru felt his current chakra reserves shouldn't be less than Kakashi's. This was probably due to the Senju bloodline boost, giving Takaru this much chakra from the start. Thinking this, Takaru revealed a happy smile. Then, Takaru began reviewing the memories of the newly acquired Senjutsu chakra extraction technique. After a while, he opened his eyes in surprise. Not only did the Senjutsu chakra grant him knowledge on extracting Senjutsu chakra, but also the method for ordinary chakra extraction. Comparing the two, the key difference for Senjutsu chakra was the fusion with natural energy. Afterward, Takaru looked at the system's other prompts. Detected special bloodline item, Mangekyo Sharingan. Compatibility with Senju bloodline detected, no conflict. Would you like to spend B rank evaluation X2 and 10,000 points for fusion? Fusion has no side effects. Detected special bloodline item, 3-Tomo Sharingan. Compatibility with Senju bloodline detected, no conflict. Would you like to spend B rank evaluation X1 and 5,000 points for fusion? Fusion has no side effects. Seeing this, Takaru nodded understandingly. The cost wasn't exorbitant, and buying them directly would be more expensive. This confirmed Takaru's conjecture was correct. Then, Takaru directly chose to fuse one Mangekyo and one 3-Tomo Sharingan. Spent B rank evaluation X3 and 15,000 points. Sharingan fusion in progress. Remaining, S rank evaluation X2, B rank evaluation X1, C rank evaluation X1. Points, 193,600. Takaru felt his eyes begin to itch, causing him some pain, and briefly losing his vision. After a while, he slowly opened his eyes. This time, opening them, Takaru noticed a change in his vision. How to describe it, he could see more clearly. His perception of the world became sharper, and his tracking of objects became more distinct. When Takaru activated the 3-Tomo Sharingan based on feeling, this sensation became even more tangible. Curiously looking around, Takaru then slowly deactivated the Sharingan. Although the improved vision was nice, for Takaru who already had observation haki, it was somewhat redundant. However, the Sharingan's copying ability was much better than observation haki. Moreover, the world appearing clearer gave Takaru a new experience. Overall, the points spent were quite worthwhile. Would you like to materialize items? Detected you have obtained an S-rank rating. This time, you can materialize 5 pieces of equipment or 25 items. I could materialize 25 items this time. Takaru was slightly stunned. Also, the fused Sharingan didn't count toward that limit. Although unclear why last time in the Hunter world, an S+ rating only allowed 20 items, while this S rating allowed 25, he felt it might possibly due to world differences. However, he didn't overthink it, as it was good news. After thinking, Takaru spent 3 C-rank evaluations and 3,000 points to materialize the remaining 3 Sharingan. After materializing the Sharingan, Takaru looked at the over 30 ninjutsu scrolls in his hands. Then, he began selecting and materializing. Congratulations on materializing S-rank summoning ninjutsu, Triple Rashomon. Spent B-rank evaluation X1, 3,000 points. Congratulations on materializing A-rank ninjutsu, Multiple Shadow Clone Technique. Spent C-rank evaluation X1, 1,500 points. Congratulations on materializing B-rank ninjutsu, Shadow Clone Technique. Spent D-rank evaluation X1, 600 points. Congratulations on materializing C-rank ninjutsu, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough. Spent 300 points. The cost for each rank of ninjutsu varied. Even with 2 S-rank evaluations and previously saved evaluations, Takaru didn't have enough to exchange for all the A-rank ninjutsu in hand. One thing that comforted Takaru was that materialized ninjutsu scrolls only required spending 100 points with the system to automatically learn them. After learning this way, the scroll would disappear, and the user would reach a beginner's level. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Novels Wonderland. Chapter 253. Chapter 253 Character Manifestation 1249 words. After a round of selection, Takaru materialized 1 S-rank ninjutsu, triple Rashomon. Then 7 A-rank ninjutsu, 5 elements seal, multiple shadow clone technique, water release, great exploding water colliding wave, water release, great waterfall technique, Edo Tensei, lightning release, Chidori, and 8 gates. Edo Tensei, being an incomplete technique, was judged as A-rank, which relieved Takaru. Otherwise, he wouldn't have materialized it. Then 10 B-rank ninjutsu, shadow clone technique, fire release, dragon fire technique, fire release, great dragon fire technique, earth release, earth flow river, earth release, earth style wall, earth barrier, earth prison dome of magnificent nothingness, earth release, earth dragon bullet, water release, water formation wall, wind release, vacuum great sphere, wind release, pressure damage. For the last 4, Takaru directly selected for C-rank ninjutsu. Congratulations on materializing S-rank ninjutsu X1, A-rank ninjutsu X7, B-rank ninjutsu X10, C-rank ninjutsu X4. Total cost: B-rank evaluation X1, C-rank evaluation X7, D-rank evaluation X10, 20,700 points. Remaining: S-rank evaluation X1, A-rank evaluation X2, D-rank evaluation X2, 172,900 points. Seeing the spent points and evaluations, Takaru let out a light sigh. It was fortunate he had accumulated so much, others likely wouldn't have this many points and evaluations to spend. Then, Takaru looked at the remaining items and directly used the item slot expansion permits. Item slot expansion requires C-rank evaluation X3, 15,000 points for X3 expansions. Deduction successful. Expansion complete. Remaining: S-rank evaluation X1, A-rank evaluation X1, B-rank evaluation X2, D-rank evaluation X2, 157,900 points. Looking at the remaining advanced skill enhancement scroll, Takaru hesitated, deciding not to use it immediately but later. Then, Takaru spent 100 points to buy a chakra paper. Inputting Senjutsu chakra, he found the paper split, wrinkled, burned, became wet, and shattered. Clearly, Takaru's chakra now possessed all 5 basic natures. This might be related to his Senjutsu chakra, or his own constitution, like his previous telekinesis being a specialization type that allowed all categories to perform at 100%. Seeing he had 5 or more natures, Takaru directly selected 12 ninjutsu to learn. As time passed, vast amounts of information appeared in Takaru's mind. His points decreased by another 1,200 from learning the scrolls, reaching 156,600. After the information transmission finished, Takaru quickly checked his personal status. Reincarnator number 3, Nara Takaru. Race: human bloodline. Powers: Senju bloodline, Sharingan. Innate abilities: photographic memory, telekinesis, absolute defense, perseverance, gluttony, giant killing, Nen, hyper-regeneration. Strength: 488, 425, average human, 20, constitution, 538, defense, 936, 629. Speed: 481, 4, spirit, 780, 38, mana, 660, 1560, average human, 0, training method, Senjutsu chakra, beginner, skills, 8 gates, beginner, multiple shadow clone technique, beginner, triple Rashomon, beginner, water release, great exploding water colliding wave, beginner, water release, great waterfall technique, beginner, impure world reincarnation, beginner, fire release, majestic dragon flame technique, beginner, armament hockey, advanced, observation hockey, advanced, rokushiki. Intermediate, light healing, advanced. Evaluations and points: S-rank evaluation X1, A-rank evaluation X1, B rank evaluation X2, D rank evaluation X2. Points, 156,600. Looking at the base attributes and feeling the surging power within, this enhancement was the largest Takara had experienced. Most importantly, with the training method's appearance, Takara felt the enhancement was no longer additive but multiplicative. This was a sensation his previous nen didn't provide so tangibly. With the boost from Senjutsu Chakra, Takara felt that using the same techniques, he could easily suppress his previous self. However, whether he could break his previous self's defense, he wasn't sure. His current defense was strengthened again, making Takara truly feel invincible. After a brief reflection, Takara quickly looked at the previously saved items and took out the primary character manifestation card. Upon use, Takara soon saw the characters currently available for summoning. Aside from Naoki Miki from the school live world, there was now Uzumaki Karen from the ninja world. Speaking of Naoki Miki, Takara remembered her tearful expression at parting. He planned to find an opportunity to visit the school live world to check on her. If she was willing to leave with him, he intended to bring her back. Shaking his head lightly, Takara looked at Karen's status. According to the reincarnation space's information, Karen's attribute points were mostly between 38 and 44, with only spirit and constitution reaching 52 and 50 respectively. Her favorability was 95. Her potential evaluation is medium-high. Seeing this, Takara didn't overthink and directly summoned her. Using a primary character manifestation card requires C-rank evaluation X1, 3,000 points. Without hesitation, Takara quickly said, "Deduction complete. Summoning and contract signing in progress. Remaining, S-rank evaluation X1, A-rank evaluation X1, B-rank evaluation X1, C-rank evaluation X2, D-rank evaluation X2. Points, 153,600. As Takara summoned, Karen, waiting in the ninja world, heard a sudden prompt. "Takara is summoning you, and will form a contract with you. From now on, you will become Takara's follower, fighting for him and following his commands. Do you agree?" Her feelings for Takara made Karen agree without hesitation. "You can choose 2 items to bring to the reincarnation space. What do you choose?" "These 2. Hearing the reincarnation space's reminder, Karen quickly picked up 2 scrolls. As her words fell, light swiftly enveloped her, taking her away. In the reincarnation space, Takara soon noticed a fluctuation in his space. Quickly, Karen's figure appeared before him. Karen, arriving, directly fainted. Simultaneously, a large amount of information appeared in her mind. She then learned that Takara came to her world through a peculiar reincarnation space. She also learned there were many worlds, and hers was just one among them. Seeing Karen seemed unconscious and her clothing changed, Takara called her name softly. Hearing Takara's voice, Karen pounced on him. Although less than 20 minutes had passed since they separated, Karen felt a peculiar sensation, as if Takara had been very, very far away, causing anxiety and loss. Until the special voice appeared, she agreed without thinking. "By the way, Karen, do you remember how you came here just now?" Looking at Karen, Takara asked curiously. "Just now, a voice in my head asked if I agreed to become your follower and fight for you. After I agreed, a special light enveloped me, then I fainted. When I woke up, I saw you." Hearing Takara's words, Karen quickly explained. Hearing her words, Takara nodded understandingly, suspecting Karen fainted due to her relatively low spirit attribute. "Oh, Karen, check if your abilities have changed. Can you still use ninjutsu?" Looking at Karen, Takara thought of something and asked. "All right, let me try. Mystical palm technique." As she spoke, Karen used the mystical palm technique, succeeding quickly. She then tried sealing techniques and mind's eye of the Kagura, all without issue. "Nothing's changed." Hearing Takara's words, Karen quickly said. "So your abilities are the same as in the ninja world. What about the items on you?" Hearing her, Takaru inquired again. It said I could only take 2 items, so I chose the scrolls you picked for me beforehand. They seem to be in my personal item slots. Hearing Takaru's words, Karen quickly took out 2 A-rank ninjutsu scrolls, Water Release, Water Dragon Bullet Technique, and Earth Release, Hiding in Rock Technique. That's quite a gain then. How big are your item slots? Hearing Karen mention personal item slots, Takaru asked curiously. There are 5 slots. Hearing Takaru's question, Karen quickly answered. After some understanding, Takaru basically grasped the situation with summoned characters. Then, checking the time, he found it was already late. Chapter 254, Chapter 254 Returning Home, Mio and Karen. 1281 words, Reincarnation Space, can I let Karen return to the main world first? Where will she appear in the main world? Without overthinking, Takaru directly asked the reincarnation space. She will appear near the summoner. Karen, wait a moment. I'll let you return to my world first. Wait for me there. I'll take care of something and come out. Hearing the system's words, Takaru understood and said to Karen. I understand. Hearing she was going to Takaru's world, Karen smiled. System, send Karen to the main world. Then, Takaru directly told the reincarnation space. As Takaru's words fell, Karen was enveloped in a special light and taken away. System, send me to the reincarnator hall. After Karen left, Takaru quickly went to the reincarnator hall. At this time, due to the hour, there weren't many people in the hall. However, Takaru saw Yui, Ritsu, Mio, and others. Yukino and Shizuka weren't present. Seeing Takaru, everyone's eyes lit up. Yui showed a sweet smile. How is everyone? Is everything all right? Looking at Yui, Mio, and others, Takaru asked with a light laugh. Yes, but our results weren't ideal. Hearing Takaru's words, Yui said with a dejected expression. Oh, really? Hearing her words, Takaru shook his head helplessly. Takaru NII, what rating did you get? Then, Yui asked curiously. Hearing her question, Takaru quickly answered. Hearing Takaru's words, everyone looked at him with envy. By the way, Takaru, I got the chakra extraction technique, and it even came with a decent amount of initial chakra. And this also increased my chakra some. Ritsu said, her eyes turning red with 3 black tomos in them. What about Yui's? Seeing Ritsu showing off, Takaru looked at Yui with amusement. I got it too, but I haven't fused it yet. Here, Takaru NII, you can have this. Hearing Takaru's words, Yui took out the special Sharingan. Mio, suddenly seeing Yui take out 2 eyeballs, was startled and hid behind Ritsu. I already have them. These were meant for you, you should decide what to do with them. Hearing her words, Takaru lightly shook his head, then showed his own Sharingan. Seeing Takaru decline and Yui not wanting them, Yuta and Rika nearby looked envious. Although Rika had observation haki, the cool Sharingan was highly tempting for her. Yuta, having previously exchanged for the chakra extraction technique, and later ninjutsu, with ratings not very high, still hadn't even exchanged for observation haki. So the Sharingan would boost his strength even more. However, he knew such things weren't cheap. Moreover, since it wasn't ninjutsu, the reincarnation space didn't sell it, meaning even with evaluations and points later, he might not be able to buy it. Alright, Takaru, here you go. I only got an A rank rating, with 20 item slots. But I used 7 slots for the Kusanagi sword and Sharingan, so only these 13 ninjutsu remain. As Yui spoke, she handed the ninjutsu to Takaru. Thanks. Here are some points for you. Then, after taking the 4 B rank and 9 C rank ninjutsu from Yui, Takaru directly transferred 5,000 points to her. If it weren't for you, Takaru NII, I wouldn't have gotten so many things. Seeing the points Takaru transferred, Yui quickly waved her hands, indicating she didn't need them. Seeing her firm expression, Takaru nodded lightly and accepted the scrolls. Ritsu also handed her scrolls to Takaru, not taking any points either, just asking Takaru to demonstrate the ninjutsu for her later so she could copy them with her Sharingan. Hearing this, Takaru lightly shook his head. Although the Sharingan could copy ninjutsu, everyone was just starting with ninjutsu, not even recognizing all hand seals. If she had to copy from scratch, it might take a long time. In comparison, learning a few C-rank ninjutsu first, becoming proficient, then copying later would be easier. So Takaru didn't take all her ninjutsu scrolls, asking her to keep some. How about this? It's a bit late today. I need to handle some things. Let's gather again tomorrow. Looking at everyone, Takaru noticed the time was quite late. In the main world, it was around 10:30 p.m. It's mainly because Takaru's fusion this time took longer than before, plus he summoned Karen and inquired about the situation. Hearing Takaru say this, everyone quickly nodded. Afterward, Takaru said a few words to them and directly left the spot. When Takaru opened his eyes again, Karen was lying on him. What are you doing, Karen? Seeing Karen's actions, Takaru frowned. Takaru, is this your world? It's really amazing. Why are the buildings so tall? And those metal boxes running on the ground, they can run without horses pulling or chakra driving them, and they're so fast. Seeing Takaru awake, Karen spoke excitedly. We'll talk about those later. How long was I unconscious? Hearing her words, Takaru frowned. About 5 seconds. Hearing Takaru's words, Karen hesitated before speaking. All right, Karen, we'll talk about all that later. Next, I'm taking you to meet my sister. You must know you can't tell her about the reincarnation space, right? Takaru spoke directly. Yes, I know. The reincarnation space warned me. Hearing Takaru's words, Karen quickly nodded. Outside, we uniformly refer to reincarnation space as that place. You can call it that too from now on. Also, my sister isn't an ordinary person, but she's not much different from one. Don't say strange things later. And about this world's matters, I'll explain properly tomorrow. Takaru directly instructed Karen. I understand. Hearing Takaru's words, Karen reacted and quickly nodded. Seeing she truly understood, Takaru nodded understandingly, then took out Shambhala. As a special light shone in the room, then Takaru and Karen's figures quickly vanished. When they reappeared, they were in another room. Immediately, Takaru noticed a figure quickly pouncing toward him. Sensing it was Mio, Takaru relaxed his guard and carefully caught her. Mio, what are you doing here? Holding Mio, Takaru asked, puzzled. Silly brother, of course it's because I'm waiting for you. Why did it take so long this time? Hearing Takaru's words, Mio sounded somewhat annoyed, speaking to Takaru angrily. That because of some matters I was delayed a bit. Seeing her angry eyes and tear stains at the corners, Takaru scratched his head. Hearing Takaru's words, Mio turned her head away. Then she noticed Karen's presence and frowned. Mio, let me introduce you. This is Uzumaki Karen. She'll be living with us from now on. Seeing Mio also noticed Karen, Takaru spoke gently. Hearing Takaru say this woman would live at home from now on, Mio's heart tightened. She was very afraid that with Karen around, Takaru might abandon her. Thinking this, Mio hugged Takaru even tighter. Takaru noticed this subtle change but didn't realize she was thinking that. What's wrong, Mio? Are you uncomfortable? Sensing Mio's actions, Takaru spoke softly. But that didn't seem right. Although 2 months passed in the ninja world, in the main world, it should only be a little over an hour. Mio's constitution shouldn't catch a cold or anything in such a short time. Seeing the caring look in Takaru's eyes, Mio relaxed a bit. I am Takanashi Mio, Takaru Niken's younger sister. You can call me Mio. Nice to meet you. Relaxed, Mio quickly adjusted her attitude and forced a smile to greet Karen. You can call me Karen. Nice to meet you. I look forward to your guidance. Hearing Mio was Takaru's sister, Karen was nervous, worried Mio might not like her. If that happened, it would make staying by Takaru's side troublesome in the future. Chapter 255. Chapter 255 First attempt at training Senjutsu Chakra 12-14 words, Mio, Karen's situation is a bit special. The place she lived in before was invaded by monsters, and her family is all gone. Also, she lived in a very remote and backward place, so there are many things Karen doesn't understand. I hope you can help Karen a lot, okay? After the two introduced themselves, Takaru quickly fabricated an identity background for Karen. I understand. Hearing Takaru say this, Mio was somewhat surprised but nodded. Karen, noticing Mio didn't seem hostile toward her, also breathed a sigh of relief. All right, Karen, Mio, you two chat for now. I'm going to clean up first. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask Mio. Seeing the two, Takaru spoke with a light laugh. Although Mio wanted to stay with Takaru longer, hearing Takaru say this, she couldn't stop him. Then, Takaru went to the bathroom, quickly filled the tub, took a simple shower, then left. Outside, Karen was still curiously asking Mio about cars and airplanes, while Mio was teaching Karen how to use the internet. Compared to other methods, the internet could provide knowledge much faster about most things. Alright, Karen, you go wash up too, then get some rest. I'll tidy up the guest room for you now. Looking at Karen, Takaru quickly said. Hearing Takaru's words, Karen nodded quickly. Then Takaru explained hot and cold water, shampoo, and body wash to her in detail. Karen listened carefully to Takaru's explanations, finally nodding to show she understood. As for a change of clothes, since Mio's clothes didn't fit Karen, Takaru asked Mio to watch over Karen at home, while he went to a mall to buy her a few simple outfits, planning to go shopping for better ones tomorrow. Sorry for the trouble. Hearing Takaru had to go buy clothes for her late at night, Karen said apologetically. It's fine. Ask Mio if you don't understand anything. I'll be back soon. After another reminder, Takaru quickly headed toward a nearby mall. Although it was getting dark, many clothing stores were still open. Takaru entered one and directly selected a few outfits for Karen, including underwear. The store Takaru entered wasn't a luxury brand but a reputable one with good quality and service. So for 3 sets of clothes and some underwear, Takaru spent over 100,000 yen. Takaru paid calmly, then took the bagged clothes from the clerk and left the store under the clerk's envious gaze. Returning home, only about 10 minutes had passed. Karen was still in the bathroom. Takaru didn't mind, then picked out a set of clothes and have Mio take them in for Karen. After doing this, Takaru went directly to the living room and began training Senjutsu Chakra. Perhaps due to his exceptionally high spirit attribute, Takaru entered a meditative state in less than a minute. As Takaru entered the training state, he soon sensed external natural energy continuously flowing into his body, merging with his physical and spiritual energy, slowly forming Senjutsu Chakra, and gathering with the previous amount. However, what surprised Takaru was that the Senjutsu Chakra he trained differed from Naruto's. If Takaru remembered correctly, the ratio for Naruto and others was 1:1:1 for natural energy, physical energy, and spiritual energy. But for Takaru, the ratio was roughly 3:1:2. Perhaps due to this special ratio, Takaru didn't undergo any physical changes when using it. Although the Senjutsu Chakra extraction technique was still at the beginner level, and Takaru's extraction speed was somewhat slow, he could still clearly sense the Senjutsu Chakra continuously increasing. He didn't know how long passed before Takaru was awakened by Mio and Karen's calls. What's wrong? Awakening, Takaru felt refreshed and looked at the two, puzzled. Brother, it's already midnight. Time to rest. Hearing Takaru's question, Mio puffed her cheeks and spoke. Is that so? Hearing Mio's words, Takaru realized. Immersed in training, he hadn't noticed time passing. The feeling of clearly sensing himself grow stronger was so good that Takaru ignored the passage of time outside. But since awakened, Takaru bid good night to Karen, then went back to his room with Mio. Lying back in bed, Takaru soon re-entered the training state. Seeing Takaru quickly enter meditation, Mio felt somewhat discouraged. Although she had urgent questions for Takaru, seeing his state, she didn't dare disturb him. Takaru, immersed in meditation, was unaware of Mio's situation. However, he could feel the amount of Senjutsu chakra in his body growing larger as time passed. The next morning, when Mio woke up, she found Takaru, who usually would have woken up early to prepare breakfast, still sleeping. She was stunned. Thinking this, Mio gently woke Takaru. As Mio called, Takaru quickly exited the training state, though he was slightly dazed at first. Mio, you're awake. After a dozen seconds, Takaru reacted and looked at Mio in surprise. Yes, brother. It's already 8:30 a.m., hearing Takaru's words, Mio showed him her phone, indicating it was late. Wait a moment, I'll prepare breakfast for you. Hearing her words, Takaru nodded understandingly. As he just started training Senjutsu chakra, he needed to focus wholeheartedly to improve efficiency. Later, when proficient, it wouldn't be so troublesome. One night of training had increased Takaru's chakra amount to 3 times the initial quantity. The growth speed somewhat exceeded Takaru's expectations. He felt it might be related to his base attributes, the previously consumed aptitude potion, and lastly, the Senju bloodline and Sharingan might also boost Senjutsu chakra. After sensing his condition, Takaru prepared to make breakfast for Mio. Not that, brother. Are you okay? However, as Takaru was about to get up, Mio directly grabbed him, speaking worriedly. Don't worry. Your brother is the strongest and nothing's wrong. It's just that from today, I'm training a special technique and need to adapt to it. Hearing Mio's words and noticing the concern in her eyes, Takaru understood her worry and patted her head reassuringly. That's good then. Hearing Takaru's words, Mio relaxed and nodded. When Takaru came out, he noticed Karen in the kitchen, flustered. Although Karen wanted to prepare breakfast for Takaru, she didn't know how to use the gas stove or microwave, and was afraid of damaging them, so she was anxious. Let me handle it. I'll show you how to use these things later. Noticing Karen's situation, Takaru said with a light laugh. Then, Takaru quickly washed up and went to the kitchen. Karen, you turn this on like this. Noticing Karen's curious gaze, Takaru demonstrated turning on the gas stove. Seeing the sudden flame, Karen was very curious. And remember to turn off the gas stove after use. Also, here are precautions when using the microwave. Looking at Karen, Takaru quickly explained carefully. For breakfast, Takaru took out a spider eagle's egg, baked some bread, pan-fried some steak, and boiled hot milk for 3. A hearty breakfast was ready. Awesome, we get the giant egg again. Noticing the spider eagle's egg, Mio said happily. Karen, while enjoying breakfast, pondered the knowledge she just learned. After the meal, Karen proactively took on dishwashing. Takaru demonstrated once. After cleaning up, Takaru noticed constant messages in the group chat. Everyone was discussing where to meet, and several were repeatedly mentioning Takaru. Chapter 256, Chapter 256 Gathering, Yui's Sharingan 1244 words. Just as Takaru was about to reply, the doorbell rang. Hearing the doorbell, Mio quickly went to open the door. Outside, Ebona stood somewhat timidly. Ebona, you're here. Please come in. Seeing Ebona's arrival, Mio wasn't surprised. Since the last invitation, Ebona had become a regular visitor to Takaru's home. Then I'll intrude, Mio. Hearing Mio's words, Ebona nodded with a light laugh. However, upon entering the living room, she froze. Apart from Takaru and Mio, there was an unfamiliar girl. Thinking this, she unconsciously grew tense. Ebona, you're here. Let me introduce you. This is Uzumaki Karen. She'll be living with us from now on. Karen, this is Ebona Nana, our neighbor and good friend. Seeing the somewhat reserved and nervous Ebona, Takaru spoke to her with a light laugh. After hearing Takaru's introduction, Ebina nervously greeted Karen. "You can call me Karen." Hearing Ebina, Karen was much more outgoing. Also, hearing Takaru say Ebina was his good friend, Karen wouldn't intentionally ignore her. Seeing the two seemed to get along fine, Takaru relaxed. "By the way, Ebina, what brings you here so early today?" Suddenly remembering something, Takaru asked curiously. Well, Mio mentioned wanting to go to an amusement park before, so I wanted to invite you to the amusement park." Hearing Takaru, Ebina blushed and said, "Wow, that's great. Let's go, let's go." Hearing Ebina's words, Mio cheered excitedly. "About that, I'm sorry, Ebina. I made plans with club members today and need to go out in a bit." Hearing her words, Takaru apologized awkwardly. No, it's me being too sudden. I'm sorry." Hearing Takaru apologize, Ebina flusteredly apologized. Hearing Takaru's words, the previously excited Mio slumped down, looking at Takaru angrily. "How about this, Ebina, can I ask you a favor?" Seeing Mio's expression, Takaru thought of something and spoke directly. Hearing Takaru suddenly say this, Ebina was stunned. "Since I need to go out soon, and it's not convenient to take Mio and Karen this time, I hope you can help me look after them. You can go to the amusement park or shopping. Karen just arrived and isn't familiar with many things here. And Mio is still a bit young. So can I ask you?" Seeing Mio's dejected look, Takaru directly asked Ebina. "I understand. I'll take care of them." Hearing Takaru say please, Ebina blushed and said. Having received so much help from Takaru, having a chance to help him made Ebina very happy. Although leading them outside was a bit daunting, if it could help Takaru, she would try her best. "Without brother, it won't be any fun." Hearing Takaru, Mio muttered softly. Compared to going out, she wished Takaru would spend more time with her. Especially recently, seeing more girls around Takaru, she was very worried Takaru might distance himself from her later. "Sorry, Mio. Next time, okay." Hearing this, Takaru gently hugged her, stroking her golden hair softly. "I understand. I'll be good. But promise, next time brother must play with me." Feeling Takaru's warm presence, Mio spoke softly. "Yes, next time for sure." Hearing her words, Takaru spoke gently. Ebina and Karen, watching Takaru's doting expression toward Mio, somehow felt envious. Seeing Takaru's gentle expression made their hearts beat faster, feeling a bit tingly. "All right, Ebina, then I'll leave Mio and Karen to you. For expenses, take it from Mio." Seeing Mio compromise, Takaru said to Ebina with a light laugh. While speaking, he also took out 200,000 yen for Mio, and 100,000 yen for Karen. Although Karen wasn't very clear about money in this world, she had used money before, as the ninja world also had currency and somewhat similar in value. Karen was just unfamiliar with this world. Mio, seeing the 200,000 yen Takaru handed over, brightened up and directly took it. "Bro, you struck it rich. Spend it for now. Let me know if it's not enough." Seeing Mio's eyes light up at the money, Takaru couldn't help but laugh. From the last A-rank mission, Takaru alone received 100 million yen, plus the monthly subsidy of several million from the Ability Users Organization, and royalties from the light novels he wrote. Takaru was definitely not short on money. Although not comparable to billionaires, he could be considered a minor tycoon. As for giving Mio only 200,000 yen, Takaru didn't want her to develop bad habits, but also didn't want her to be looked down upon. After settling things, Takaru picked up his phone, briefly replied, and everyone agreed to meet at Yukino's house at 10 a.m. Handling that, Takaru saw it was only 9:10 a.m. He chatted with everyone for a while, then at 9:30 a.m., bid farewell and left. Seeing Takaru about to leave, Ebina and Mio prepared to go out too. After walking together for a stretch, Takaru waved to the three, and went separate ways. When Takaru arrived at Yukino's house, It was exactly 9:50 a.m. Yukino's home already had many people gathered, and Yukino was busy attending to everyone. "Excuse me." Seeing the open door, Takara called inside, then changed into slippers and entered. "Hello there." Seeing Takaru arrive, Ritsu greeted him with a light laugh and a wave. "Hello, everyone." Looking at the over 10 people already present, and Yukino, Ui, and Taihei busy in the kitchen. Since they had gathered here several times, everyone was familiar and not reserved. The newly joined Nibutani was slightly uncomfortable, while Hiratsuka, already very familiar with Yukino, wasn't reserved at her home. "By the way, Ritsu, what are your chakra natures?" Sitting down, Takaru looked at Ritsu curiously. "Wind, lightning, and fire." Hearing Takaru's question, Ritsu said somewhat proudly. "Then develop in that direction. But currently, how many ninjutsu can you perform with your chakra?" Takaru then asked curiously. B rank, about twice, C rank, 5 or 6 times. Hearing Takaru's question, Ritsu hesitated before speaking. Hearing her words, Takaru understood. Normally, someone who just gained chakra like Ritsu shouldn't be able to use even one C-rank ninjutsu. It must be the Sharingan's boost. Nearby, Yuta felt heartbroken hearing Ritsu's words. Compared to others, he probably learned chakra the earliest, yet his current chakra capacity could sustain about the same number of ninjutsu as Ritsu. As for the newly joined Hiratsuka and Nibutani, having only experienced 2 worlds, they hadn't encountered particularly strange energies yet. So both Nen and chakra were somewhat novel to them. Although they could exchange for them now, if they did, their evaluations and points might not be sufficient. Anyone else planning to shift toward the ninja system? Thinking this, Takaru looked at everyone curiously. Hearing Takaru's question, Rika quickly raised her hand. "I want to use ninjutsu too." "Ninjutsu looks super cool, Disoa." Sylphan said excitedly. "I got a chakra extraction scroll in my raiding treasure chest too. I'm hesitating whether to use it." Hearing Takaru's words, Mio said hesitantly. "I already used mine. And also, this." At that moment, Yui excitedly spoke up, directly activating her 3-tomo Sharingan. "Yui, you have Sharingan too." Seeing Yui's Sharingan, Ritsu was surprised. "Because when Ichan wanted to learn ninjutsu, I gave the eyes to her." Seeing Yui reveal her Sharingan, Ui looked at Takaru hesitantly. "It's fine. Didn't I say before? You can use the Sharingan as you wish." Seeing the nervous Ui, Takaru lightly shook his head. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Novels Wonderland. Chapter 257, Chapter 257 Rika's Tears. Excuse me. At that moment, Tsumuji walked in from outside with a smile. Seeing Tsumuji arrive, everyone smiled at her. "Since time was a bit rushed, I only prepared some small snacks," Tsumuji said, taking a large box from her item slot. Opening it revealed various pastries. "Wow," as expected of Muji. Seeing this, Yui and Ritsu excitedly gathered. Umaru also had stars in her eyes, as she was a serious foodie. Seeing Tsumuji bring another large assortment of snacks, Yukino shook her head with a laugh but didn't say anything. As everyone placed the snacks on the coffee table, they looked very tempting. While enjoying the food, everyone continued chatting. After some discussion, they found most people's gains from the ninja world were average to above average. The strongest ones gained more this time. Among them, Takaru, Ui, Yukino, Umaru, Taihei, and Ritsu, who benefited indirectly, all received A ratings or higher. The others were mostly in the B to B+ range. Overall, no one here was particularly weak. Although unsure about other reincarnators' levels, Takaru knew that in a fight, unless some were exceptionally lucky, anyone in their group, except the newly joined Hiratsuka and Nibutani, should be stronger than other reincarnators. Of course, that was because, normally, completing main missions diligently could earn at least AC rating, and completing them well could get AC+. Then, participating in side missions or influencing plot characters could further increase the rating. The jump from A to S was more significant, requiring exploring world plots, influencing major characters, or significantly impacting the entire world. For those unaware of the plot and with average strength, this was quite difficult. This time, since they were in teams of 3, most lasted until the final rounds. Except for 3 unlucky ones who encountered Gaara or Lee and lost in the 3rd preliminary round. However, later, during Orochimaru's Konoha Crush plan, they contributed a lot. Then, participating in side missions and indirectly changing some fates boosted their ratings a bit more. As for Yui and Ritsu being teamed with Takaru, although they didn't help when Takaru destroyed Root, they still got some rating increase. Combined with their efforts in the main battles and participation in Orochimaru's plan, Ritsu got an A rating, and Yui, having eliminated many Otogekyu's ninja, got an A+ rating. Adding the loot Takaru seized, their gains this time were substantial. Yui got a powerful Kusanagi sword, and Ritsu got 2 3-tomo Sharingan and several ninjutsu scrolls. After roughly sharing their gains, everyone was more convinced that following Takaru brought benefits, so they envied Yui and Ritsu. Seeing Mio's envious look, Ritsu laughed arrogantly. Others just rolled their eyes at her, thinking she was being so smug. However, after this experience in the ninja world, some decided to learn ninjutsu. Takaru naturally didn't stop them, only sharing some chakra training methods. As for Yui, Umaru, and Yukino, already having Nen, they weren't interested in training chakra. Although chakra offered significant boosts, Nen wasn't weak either, and many techniques could be done with Nen. Most importantly, they didn't want to bite off more than they can chew. Of course, for Takaru, this wasn't an issue. Although Takaru had many abilities now, his talents, enhanced multiple times, could handle it easily. Especially with the multiple shadow clone technique, all skill advancements would be faster later. After chatting, everyone asked Takaru about training or path choices. Takaru shared what he knew. During this, Takaru learned Taihei was very lucky this time, obtaining an Uzumaki bloodline from his A-rank chest. This gave him more initial chakra than Ritsu when using the chakra extraction technique, and his training speed was rapid. When it was time, Takaru bid farewell and left with Rika and others. After escorting Rika to her apartment building and seeing her distracted, Takaru didn't leave immediately. Takaru, I heard from Ritsu you still have Sharingan. Could you sell me an extra one? Just one is fine. Since only she and Takaru remained, Rika hesitated but couldn't resist the Sharingan's allure, speaking seriously to Takaru. So that's why you were down during the gathering. Hearing Rika's words, Takaru said with a light laugh. You noticed? Hearing Takaru, Rika lowered her head. But materializing the Sharingan cost a C-rank evaluation, and 1,000 points. You need to compensate me for that. Hearing she wanted to buy a Sharingan, Takaru hesitated, then spoke directly. Hearing Takaru's words, Rika was stunned. She knew very well the Sharingan's value compared to ninjutsu. She hadn't expected Takaru to seemingly not ask for additional payment. Although she needed to provide the C-rank evaluation and 1,000 points, those alone, at most, could only learn an ordinary B-rank ninjutsu in the reincarnation space. What's wrong? Not enough evaluations. Then next time. Seeing Rika's expression, Takaru asked curiously, but before he finished, Rika directly hugged him, tears slowly falling. Feeling her action, Takaru was stunned, then his gaze softened. Within the team, Rika wasn't outstanding. Whether in looks, personality, or abilities, she was average. So during gatherings, though striking among ordinary people, she seemed somewhat plain among everyone. Thus, during gatherings, she often sat quietly, rarely speaking up. Facing the increasingly exceptional Takaru, and seeing the dazzling Yukino, Umaru, and the highly capable, obedient, and cute Yui, she could only suppress her feelings silently. So now, facing Takaru's care, she broke down. 5 minutes later, Rika's emotions stabilized. She took the Sharingan Takaru offered, obediently said thank you, then quickly transferred a C-rank evaluation, and 1,000 points to Takaru via her reincarnation watch. Fusing the Sharingan requires a B rank evaluation and 5,000 points. If you don't have enough, no need to give them to me urgently. Seeing the transferred evaluations and points, Takaru spoke softly. I have enough. Please accept them. Hearing Takaru say this, Rika spoke seriously. Seeing her firm gaze, Takaru nodded lightly and accepted them via his reincarnation watch. After fusing the Sharingan, focus on training chakra. When you're ready, come find me to learn ninjutsu. No need to waste points and evaluations learning ninjutsu in the reincarnation space. I'll head off now. Seeing Rika seemed composed, Takaru said to her. Takaru, would you like to come up for a bit before going back? Hearing Takaru was leaving, Rika spoke reluctantly. Next time. Right now, I have something important to handle. Hearing Rika's words, Takaru hesitated before speaking. Okay, I understand. Hearing Takaru say this, though reluctant and disappointed, Rika didn't force him to stay. Then, see you next time. When you're free, you can visit my home. I'll introduce you to new friends. Seeing the somewhat downcast Rika, Takaru patted her head. It's a deal then. Hearing Takaru invite her to his home, Rika regained her spirits. Creator's thoughts. God_of_chicken God_of_chicken For more advanced chapters, you can check out my pat.com/chickengod Chapter 258, Chapter 258 Returning to School Live. After bidding farewell, Takaru checked the time, only a little past 2 p.m. So instead of going straight home, Takaru went to his single apartment. This time, Takaru planned to check on Mickey in the school live. Although the time ratio was 3-to-1, Takaru had spent about 51 days in the main world, meaning about 17 days had passed there. The reasons for not bringing Mickey back earlier were Takaru's insufficient strength, and uncertainty about the main world's attitude toward reincarnators like him. But now, things were clearer. That's why Takaru decisively brought Karen back after the ninja world. Now Takaru intended to fulfill his promise to Mickey. Thinking this, Takaru directly entered the reincarnation space. System, I want to go to the school live. What's the cost and what's the time ratio between the two worlds? Entering the school live. World requires deducting 1 D rank evaluation. Staying each day deducts 100 points. Less than a day counts as a full day. The time ratio between the main world and school live. World is 3:1. You can spend points to change the time flow upon entry. Hearing the system's words, Takaru understood. The charges seemed reasonable. System, send me to the school live. Also set the time ratio between the main world and school live. World to 1:3. This service requires deducting 1 D rank evaluation and 300 points. Each additional day stayed requires 200 points. Hearing the system, Takaru replied without hesitation. Deducted 1 D rank evaluation and 300 points successfully. Remaining, S rank evaluation X1, A rank evaluation X1, B rank evaluation X1, C rank evaluation X3, D rank evaluation X1. Points, 154,200. Glancing at his evaluations, Takaru was enveloped in light and vanished. When Takaru regained his senses, he was back in the school live world, precisely where he had left. Perhaps sensing a new human presence, 2 wandering zombies slowly approached Takaru. Looks like this world still hasn't developed a cure. Seeing the zombies, Takaru shook his head lightly. Then, as if remembering something, a blue light shot from Takaru's hand, hitting the 2 approaching zombies. Upon being hit, the seemingly mindless zombies howled, then collapsed unconscious. Noticing the change, Takaru was surprised. He then used his healing spell on them. Before long, Takaru noticed the zombies seemed to have reverted to humans. This shocked Takaru. This meant Takaru's advanced purification ability could now completely cleanse the zombie virus in this world. Takaru then ignored them. If Takaru had just entered this world, he might have used this to get an EX rating, but now it was useless. Thinking this, Takaru sighed and headed toward Meguragaoka Private High School. Easily crossing the barricades used to block zombies, Takaru noticed they had been reinforced and repaired multiple times since his last visit. Clearly, even though Takaru did a major cleanup before leaving, zombies still occasionally invaded. Who's there? As Takaru entered, a woman working nearby saw the unfamiliar Takaru and froze. Due to the long-term zombie situation, fewer than 100 people lived inside, and numbers kept decreasing due to zombie attacks. Seeing a new face, the woman was naturally puzzled. For her, Takaru definitely hadn't been seen before. If she had, with Takaru's appearance, she wouldn't have forgotten. Though surprised, survivors occasionally found their way here, seeing the walls and abundant crops. However, survivors usually arrived in a sorry state. Someone as cleanly dressed as Takaru was a first for her, making her even more curious. Nice to meet you. I'm Nara Takaru. Sorry, may I ask who the leader here is? Looking at the woman, Takaru smiled and asked. Nara Takaru. Hearing the name, the woman felt somewhat familiar but couldn't recall. The leader is Wakasa Yuri-san. Others are Miyamaru and Saikai-san. Hearing Takaru's words, the woman directly answered. It was thanks to Wakasa Yuri, Miyamaru, and Saikai's protection that everyone could live like this. Thank you. Hearing her words, Takaru nodded with a light laugh. Seemed not much had changed. But that made sense, after all, although Takaru felt gone long, less than 18 days had passed here. You're an outside survivor, right? Entering requires inspection and registration. Afterward, you can live safely here by contributing labor. Looking at Takaru, the woman kindly reminded. I understand. Thanks for the reminder. Hearing her reminder, Takaru nodded with a light laugh, then directly left. Seeing Takaru's disappearing speed, the woman was stunned. Takaru seemed too fast, and she hadn't told him where to register. Takaru didn't mind. After leaving the woman, Takaru headed toward the school building. The building had been repaired. Though limited materials made repairs appear shabby, it was much better than the previous bloody state. Who are you? Seeing Takaru approach, two guards at the building immediately stopped him. How to explain? Looking at the two guards, Takaru snapped his fingers. Their eyes went blank. Only after Takaru went upstairs did their eyes clear. I think I saw someone just now. One guard, recovering, said confusedly to his companion. Seems so. And a handsome guy too. The other also said hesitantly, but couldn't recall Takaru's specific appearance. Meanwhile, Takaru left the guards and, through sensing, quickly reached a room on the second floor. He opened a door and entered. What is it? And didn't I say to knock before entering? Hearing the door open directly, a somewhat helpless voice came from inside. Long time no see, Yuri, Miki. Looking at the two inside, Takaru greeted them with a light laugh. Hearing the familiar voice, Yuri, about to speak, paused, speechless. Miki, pondering how to build the survivor base, froze. Looking up dazedly, she noticed Takaru's familiar face. Almost instantly, tears fell from her eyes. Without thinking, upon regaining her senses, she quickly stood up, ran toward Takaru, and hugged him tightly. Sorry for making you wait so long. Feeling Miki trembling and crying in his arms, Takaru was stunned, then his expression softened. He spoke softly to her. Seeing this, Yuri couldn't help but smile, a tear falling from her eye, happy for Miki, yet somewhat melancholy. She too wished someone like Takaru would appear, tell her she waited long, and let her rely on them completely. Yuri was very aware of Miki's longing for Takaru. Even in sleep, she often heard Miki calling Takaru's name, begging him not to leave. Waking to find it a dream, Miki would secretly cry in a corner, then immerse herself in base construction to temporarily forget Takaru. Am I dreaming? Takaru, are you really back? After crying for a while, Mickey looked up and spoke slowly. Of course. And this time, if you're willing, I can take you with me. Hearing her words, Takaru spoke softly. I'm willing. Hearing Takaru, Mickey said loudly.